Hello. Good evening. How are we all? Welcome. Wednesday. I feel like it's ages since we did one of these, but it was only Friday, wasn't it? I suppose doing the pre-recorded ones, it feels well, does it feel like we're doing fewer? I don't know. I certainly feel like I'm still writing. Finding this book way harder to write because it's all a bit more plot heavy. Like before, it was like, what the fuck's Emma up to now? And I sort of vaguely knew what would happen in the end. Whereas with this one, I'm like, well, I have literally no idea what's happening. Ben's reading Klopp actually. This book. What? Exciting. We're just planning some fun live events for that actually. Going to be doing something for Libraries Week because I've been trying to make sure that it's in libraries. I know it's not technically the sort of book you'd get from a library, but I just want to make sure that libraries are supported. Did I survive Spurs? Mystic says, do you know what? It's a weird thing about myself, and I don't know why this is true, but I love sports documentaries. I don't watch sport at all, but sports documentaries I find riveting. So I kind of enjoyed it. Jose is obviously no Jurgen. He's sort of mean and angry and shouty, which I'm sure Jurgen is when he needs to be, but I did not feel warm, fuzzy feelings towards him. And Harry Kane's voice is not what I was expecting. Woof, that was a lot, wasn't it? Anyway, but still missing the beginning of my chats when I start. Yeah, I think it's just a lag. I think maybe, I don't know, like I always try and say hi for ages at the beginning of the video so that by the time you come in, the hi has eaten all of the gap. But that's what it is. Jack James. Oh my god, I finally made one of these. Hi, welcome. Oh, that's really lovely. If you've been watching on catch up, well, thanks for making a live one. It's all nonsense. Oh, everyone's saying hi, Mackie. She is downstairs at the moment. Mackie is my dog for new watchers. Oh, if you're a new watcher, if you don't know who Mackie is, you're gonna have no idea what the plot is. Mackie's downstairs. She's been having quite the barky evening. She's found her voice and she's decided to guard us from everything, which is very cute of her. We're also just discussing whether or not she's lactose intolerant because she has some new treats that have a bit of cheese in them, and oh, is she farty? So we're thinking no more cheese for our dog, just to save the living room from needing fumigating or from her fumigating it for us. Can she narrate a chapter? Oh, she'd love to. She's so noisy, but I love her so much. She's actually, I was just noticing that my lipstick looks like trash, and it's because it's all over her. I had to do a little corporate this evening. But the lighting looks better though, doesn't it? My brother gave me a new lamp and it actually looks a bit better, although I've just looked directly into the lamp and now I can't see. Oh, I'm not a bright woman. Sings out the front and the back, says Jack. Well, as a first contribution to the chat, that is on point and disgusting. So I'm very glad you finally made a live one. Mackie didn't like me on stage, Artwell says. No. Oh, so I met Artwell IRL on Saturday. Was it Saturday? And I took Mackie to the gig with me, and she was really good, except that there was an older dog there, and Mackie just wanted to play with her, and this older dog was like, "No, babe, you are young and annoying. I'm not into this." It was just trying to wander off, and Mackie was having none of it. So this lovely guy that runs the gig had said, "Oh, I'll watch your adorable little puppy for you while you're on stage," and she was good as gold with me, having a great time. And then the second I was on stage, and she was like, "Oh, I want to play with this dog," she just barked all the way through my set. Luckily, her bark is pathetic and it was quite a big show. So I was planning to stick around and watch Paul Sinner, but I had to not because I was like, if my dog ruins his set, it's very different to my dog ruining my set. So that was my weekend. I also cycled to Worthing and back on Sunday, which was fun. Artwell says he was great. He's always great, isn't he? He's got such a brilliant... Paul's one of those comics that is so different to me in the way I do comedy that I almost watch what he does as if it's a different art form. Like, I love getting really geeky about comedy, but to me, Paul is so methodical and it's very clinical. And it's very different to my approach. He's sort of all writing and much less dynamism, but it's spellbinding. He got the most amazing standing ovation once when we gigged together in Crawley. But yes, I find him fascinating. He did his whole set in rhyme this time. And your description was rhyming too. I was in the remote audience for his General Knowledge Radio 4 show a few weeks back. Yeah, he's just brilliant. Right, anyway, enough of bloody Paul Sinner. He gets enough airtime. Do you know whose time this is? Mine. It's time for me and the gang. And I've updated my post-it note with all my accents on. Thank you for letting me know about Mortglade. I'm so sorry, I just completely forgot. And I got halfway through the recording, was like, fuck. But the problem is the thing I use to record, you can't pause the recording and go and check. So you'd have to stop it and start a new one. And I couldn't be asked with editing. I don't love you enough for that, bastards. But I do. So Scottish is Mortglade. She was Scottish, yes. So yeah, got that badly. This makes me feel you should go on Celebrity Chase. I'd just like to go on Celebrity Anything, Jack, to be honest. There is small, slight talk about maybe I'm going to be on Celebrity Mastermind. But you didn't hear it from me. All right, we should do it. I haven't even had wine. This is just how much I've missed book club. Right. Okay. Chapter 16. Okay. So you had a vote. What did you have the vote on? Oh, you had the vote on what she goes to do next. And there wasn't much disagreement from you guys. Durka says special subject. I mean, guess. I literally wrote the book on it. Kevin's got there. So there wasn't much disagreement on what Marine was going to do. So chapter 16, here we go. And you've got another bloody big vote to do now. Oh, you are. Because it's so exciting with this one. Because with the other one, like I say, and I will start, oh my God, 7 minutes. I'm so sorry. But with the other one, because I was like, well, she's probably going to end up with Jack. That seems to be what you guys want. But what can I throw in the way in between? That's what I was doing with the votes. But with this one, I haven't even really decided what the plot is. Your votes are just deciding what the plot is as we go along. So let's do chapter 16. Oh, right, I've started with somebody talking, which is not good for me as a narrator and doing accents. Okay, right, right, that's what it is. We will stay here for the night and see if Marine makes contact. If she does, we can inform her of what has happened and formulate a plan for tomorrow. Best that we get some rest if we can, Ezria said to the small group of Tingians. Marine watched from a distance as they all nodded. Why have I got headphones in? You're not saying anything out loud. I just realised, oh God, I'm not bright. Ezria, I shouldn't go on. Ezria said to the small group of Tingians. Marine watched from a distance as they all nodded. She noticed Rashek's head turning to look at one of the tunnel entrances. Now Rashek was Scouse. Would you like me to go out and scout around a bit? Bit of security? No, that's Birmingham, isn't it? Liverpool. Would you like me to go out and scout around a bit? Bit of security? Rashek asked. Calmly. Marine could just about make out Esma and Ezria's eyes narrowing at her in the gloom. No, it's okay. If anyone is sniffing around here, then there's not much we can do other than disappear down a different tunnel entrance and leave no clues we were here, said Ezria. It's safest if we stay in sight of each other, agreed Esma, both for the mission and for our personal safety. The little group settled down and Marine felt cold and alone over in the shadows. Her head was simmering with fear and uncertainty. She thought of her family in the cells with Van Weer. Would they be huddled together, or would they have been separated to stop them talking to each other? She couldn't bear the thought of them suffering because of her actions. Marine looked down at her hands. Her body had been fully visible for some time, but she had stayed away from the group in darkness, keeping very still. She wanted some time alone. The talk of betrayal and moles had frightened her. It was one thing to be part of a brave team of adventurers when they were all in it together and fighting a common cause. But now it seemed messy and confusing, and her family's freedom was involved. Everything had really leveled up in seriousness, and she was deathly afraid. There was nothing certain at all. She didn't even know for sure she had chosen the right team to side with. What if she was just genuinely part of a band of outlaws and Ezria had duped them all? If she could just know it was the Lost Stone or not, it would be the start of some answers, Marine realised. With a start, she knew she had to go some way to working that out. I need to get back to the lab, she muttered to herself, but her stomach went cold with the thought of trying. What if she were caught again? There was no way Van Weer would take any chances with her escaping again. Perhaps there were orders to kill on sight. She swallowed and inspected her tiny hands. She was so tired. Her frustration at the world began to shift into frustration with herself, and she realized what she needed to do. She looked at her hands again and tried to concentrate. She tried to use the frustration to focus, to pull her anger into a clear line of thoughts. She focused on what she needed to do. I need to get into the lab. I need to touch the stone. I need to know. In the office, when she had needed to escape Van Weer, her body had known what to do. Topside, even though it had got her noticed, her body had known that the droplets were hitting hard and dangerously, and it had pushed them away. Her body knew how to help her with the magic, but she needed to be able to ask it to. She looked at her hands and thought about her family in danger, her parents huddled in a cell, not knowing if she was alive or dead. She thought about the sneer of Van Weer's face when she had ordered Marine's capture. She thought of Ezria and whether or not Ezria was telling the truth. I need to get in to touch the stone, she said to her hands, and she squeezed all her fear and hope and panic and worry into a tight ball. She imagined shooting all of her emotions out of her eyes and onto her skin. She sat, tightly wound for second after creeping second against the impacted mud of the cavern wall, and just when she was beginning to think it was useless, she saw the edges of her hands beginning to fade and wobble and disappear into the darkness. Excitedly, she leapt up and looked down at her legs and body. It had gone. Marine felt thrilled tears slipping down her face and briefly wondered if they were invisible too. She shook them away and focused. She had managed to make the magic do what she wanted, but she had no idea how long it would last, so she had to act fast. This felt like the beginning of change. Oh, I'm rhyming now, not just Paul Sinner. Keeping to the edges of the cavern and creeping as silently as she could in the dark, Marine made her way around the edge and back to the tunnel she had entered through. She slipped into it and made her way determinedly down the little burrow. Her feet swept as lightly as she could manage, and soon she came out the other side. She looked around but saw no one. She looked down and saw her own hands were still invisible. Marine screwed up her face and made her way back to the laboratory. She felt 2 beats past as she progressed, but eventually she arrived at the staff entrance. She felt strangely calm and collected. In many ways, there was not a lot left to lose. Excuse me, a small burp. That is my Saganaki, because I'm not lactose intolerant. Marine waited patiently for the first Tingian to come or go through the entrance, and as soon as she saw someone come through, she slipped in through the open door. Inside, she checked the coast was clear and then made her way silently down the corridors towards the room where the lost stone had been. There was a guard on the door, but Marine realized with a sadness that it was a different Tingian to the one she had lied to, because he's dead. She made a mental note to try and make it up to that Tingian if she could, but she couldn't, because he was dead. Eventually, she saw the little guard open the door to let someone through, and she threw herself through the door as soon as she could, just about managing to pull her foot through before it closed. So far, so good, thought Marine, and made her way back down the corridor to the door where she had met Van Weer last time. To her surprise, it was slightly ajar, and she hesitated next to it, wondering what this could mean. Was it a trap? Would it matter if it were? Was there anything she could do except go through it and hope? She pushed it gently so it was wide enough to slip through, and then stepped back immediately, pressing her back into the wall in case anyone came through in response to it opening. Nobody did. She waited a few more seconds and then moved silently through the opening. The lab looked exactly as it had done the last time she had seen it, except this time, no Van Weer. Marine swallowed and paced across the lab towards the stone. It glittered in the light from the glow lamps, and Marine felt strangely protective towards it. She tried to shake the thoughts from her head, but she couldn't help feeling sorry for it, being trapped down here all alone, so far from the sky. Marine reached out an invisible hand towards the polished surface of the blue stone. And that was the end of the chapter! Ha 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 ha! And it's a bloody big decision that you folks have to make. So, you have to decide what happens when Marine touches the stone. Doof, doof, doo, 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 doo. Meh, meh. That's that's the ramifications. You get to decide what happens when Maureen touches the stone. And you've got 6 bloody options because I'm tired of you all voting for the same thing. So I'm going to try and split the ranks with my sneaky vote choices. So you can choose 1, nothing happens. 2, electricity happens. 3, the stone changes color. 4, it shrinks. 5, it buzzes. Or 6, it cracks. Those are your choices. Nothing, electricity, changes color, shrinks, buzzes, cracks. 6 choices, only 1 outcome. You decide. My dinner sugar is kicking in. 7, it sounds like a Mexican accent. You've had your bloody Mexican accent, John. So don't think you're getting another one out of me. I couldn't do it the first time. Right, you stinky people. What's wrong with me? I'm going to go now because we're watching Buffy and someone just lost their soul. And it's really exciting. So you need to get voting, and I'll see you on Friday at 10 p.m. for some stinky. I know, Rich. I don't know what I'm talking about. I really don't. I'm sorry. I will see you. Oh, Mystic, that is some serious Buffy knowledge. I'm trying to say goodbye. I'm going to go and have some tea and loads of chocolate. I'll see you on Friday at 10 p.m. Yes, it's not midnight, it's 10 because I have to get up early on Saturday. So I will see you at 10 p.m. on Friday. Love you all. Bye.